I almost got kidnapped at school. The title is a little bit dramatic, but I had no idea how to call it, so I was in grade 9 at a really shitty school. The system there sucked, and it was located in a dangerous area of the city I lived in. I actually just remembered the story because it was so usual for things like this to happen there that for me it was just normal, so I forgot it. But looking back at it now, I realize that it's not normal. So I was in P.E class and we were running laps around the school on the sidewalk to stretch. I was with my friend group of 5 girls and we were walking behind as always because P.E for us was talking about the school drama all period. So we were walking and talking about the recent drama when a red truck slowed down beside us. It wasn't unusual. Every time we were walking outside of the school, a creepy man would slow down, so we didn't thought any of it and just kept walking and ignoring him. We saw his truck 2 or 3 times more. He was driving around the school and slowing down every time he passed by us, so we decided to tell our teacher. That made us go back inside. In the gym, we started playing whatever game we were doing when the teacher came to me and told me I was asked to the main office because someone was here to pick me up. I was panicking because no one was supposed to pick me up during class that day, and I thought that maybe something bad happened to either my mom or my dad or someone in my family. So I got changed into my normal clothes, grabbed my backpack and rushed to the office. When I got there, the lady told me that there was a man waiting for me outside of the main doors. I got a little confused because usually when my parents came to pick me up, they'd wait in the hall until I got there. I took a look through the glass door and saw an old man. I had never seen this man once in my life. I quickly walked back to the office and told the lady that I didn't knew him, and what she told me next froze me. She told me he said he was a friend of my parent and that they asked him to pick me up because my mother got into a car accident. He told the lady my name and my last name, my age, my mom's name and the grade I was in. I was shocked and immediately asked her if I could call my parents to confirm. So I called my dad and he told me my mom was just fine and he was at work. The lady just told me to go back to class and I never saw that man again. I never knew what happened after I left, and how did he knew all of these infos about me. My parents talked to cops about this and there was never anything. We never had answers. Since that happened, I moved into a much safer city and I hope I'll never see this man again. Stranger tries to pick me up from my school. When I was 14, I worked at a McDonald's that was connected to a gas station. It was a truck stop, so it was very busy 90% of the time. The only downside to working at a truck stop fast food place was that the bathroom was on the complete other side of the building. I was a freshman in high school. At the time I was pretty small, maybe not in height but in size. I was around 5 feet 6 inches and anywhere from 130 to 150 pounds, not super tiny, but small enough to where I'd probably have made an easy target. This wasn't a fear of mine, however, but maybe it should have been. I remember I was in gym class. It was maybe the middle of the school day, and it was one of those days where we could just sit on the side and catch up on work for other classes if we didn't want to participate in the game. My friends and I did this almost all the time, and almost never actually worked on anything important. We were laughing and joking around until I received Power School notifications, my school iPad, excusing me from the remaining classes of the day. I was really confused, considering my mom hadn't mentioned anything about picking me up early, and I was only seeing my dad every other weekend and he wasn't the type to pick me up from school. I was grounded, so I didn't have a phone with me, other than a cheap flip phone my mom had gotten me from Walmart. I texted her about the notifications, but before I got a response back from her, my gym teacher told me I needed to grab my things and go to the office because my mom would be picking me up. This confused me even more, and I shot my mom another text, asking if she was picking me up from school. She freaked out and told me not to leave the building. At this point I was sitting in the office by the window, waiting for apparently nobody to come pick me up until the situation was figured out. My mom ended up calling the school and letting them know I wasn't allowed to leave with anyone that day. Apparently whoever called claimed to be my mom, and said they were coming to pick me up. As far as I know, nobody ever showed up to pick me up, and I didn't hear anything else about it. My mom wasn't comfortable with me working at a truck stop, and we got my location switched to a McDonald's that was closer in town and wasn't connected to a gas station. What we think might have happened is someone saw my name tag and possibly called all the schools in the area until they found me. but I still have no idea how they would have known my last name. With that being said, creepy stranger who pretended to be my mom over the phone and tried to pull me out of school, let's not meet. I went to school with girl who was evil. Back when I was in high school, this all took place in 2014, I met a girl there who I'll call Carly. Carly was pretty. She had long red hair and friendly dark brown eyes, sort of like Bella Thorne. She always wore bright, happy, colorful clothing and lots of happy, earthy jewelry. She just looked like such a happy and bright person. She had a loud and outgoing, happy personality too. Carly and I became friends. Everything was great in the beginning. She took me exploring a bunch of abandoned houses in our town. We took a bunch of selfies and pictures together, and she even let me stay the night at her house. Carly kissed me one day in her car. That led to us making out quite frequently after that. One day, she began taking videos of us making out on her Snapchat account. She told me she was going to send the videos to her ex-boyfriend Michael. I thought that was random, but I didn't say anything. The next day at school, one of my friends, Allison, came up to me and was very upset. She told me Carly had sent videos of us making out to her boyfriend Carson. She asked me why we would do such a thing. I was very confused and told her Carly told me she was sending those videos to her ex who lived in another state. Allison warned me and told me that Carly wasn't my friend. She said she wasn't anyone's friend. I didn't listen and continued hanging out with Carly. I started dating one of Carly's guy friends who I'll call Garrett. She did not like this. One day, I walked to Garrett's house and called Carly to say hi. While doing so, she told me to be careful but that she had to go. Garrett and I started walking around his neighborhood talking. Then next thing I know, Carly shows up out of nowhere with my ex in the back seat of her car, screaming at the top of her lungs that I don't know what I want and that I need to get in her car so she could take me home. Garrett tried telling her to leave but she went ballistic and kept screaming. So we got in her car. She dropped Garrett off and took me home and was acting all nice to me once I got in her car. She was telling me how much she loved me and how much I meant to her. I ended up staying the night with her that night. I remembering becoming emotional in her room because I didn't like seeing my ex who I had recently broken up with before Garrett and I started dating. She climbed on top of me and started making out with me, everything with black. I remember waking up the next morning and she took me home. Later that day I had been admitted to the hospital because I was feeling unwell, reasons unrelated, so I was in the hospital for a few days. During this particular day, my boyfriend Garrett, my mom, and Carly had come to visit me. We were all visiting when Garrett kissed me. I didn't know this at the time. My mom later told me that when Garrett kissed me, Carly had a dark and evil look in her eyes as she stared at me. My mom said the look gave her goosebumps and chills that ran up her spine. She said Carly looked completely evil. Like she wished I would just die. Shortly after, I was released from the hospital. A few days later when I was back at school, Carly completely shunned me. She wouldn't look at me, she wouldn't talk to me, she completely acted as if I didn't exist. I had no idea what I had done wrong from the time she visited me in the hospital to now. At school, she gave me a very cold and dark death glare. If looks could have killed, I would have dropped dead. I avoided her after that and had no clue what I had done. She just acted like she hated my guts. Garrett and I eventually broke up and I got back with my ex, the one that was in Carly's car that day. Now, after I was first released from the hospital, I noticed this sticky stuff all over the screen of the outside of my bedroom window. I had no idea what it was or where it came from. I was waiting for my boyfriend to get off of work one night. I had gone up there to visit him, and he randomly handed me his phone, so I got bored and decided to go through it. I saw that he had been texting Carly. As I was going through their texts, I saw that she had been sending him sexual photos of herself. And during the time that I was in the hospital and Carly would come visit me and act like my best friend. She was going behind my back and sleeping with my ex. And that sticky stuff on my window. There was a text to my boyfriend from Carly that said let's egg my name's house again. That was fun. I immediately started crying and my boyfriend of course was trying to justify all of this, claiming that he had only hung out with Carly because he missed me and that he was upset that I was dating Garrett. Carly never spoke to me again. And when I tried to confront her as to why she would egg my house and get with my ex while pretending to be my best friend, she tried to pin it all on my boyfriend, claiming that he was after her and that she had rejected him. That summer, Carly told all of my close friends that I had committed suicide. She started telling everyone that she had loved me so much and that I fucked her over. But I'm telling you, that look in Carly's eyes. It was like looking into pure evil. It was horrifying. It was like seeing who she really was, and to this day it still freaks me out. Years later, I had spoken to a girl who Carly and I had gone to school with, who I'll call Maddie. Maddie and Carly had become the best of friends after Carly dropped me. Maddie told me, "You're nothing like she described you, and she made you out to be this really horrible person, but you're nothing like that." Turns out the reason Maddie and Carly stopped being best friends is because Maddie told me that Carly got her to do cocaine with her one night at a hotel and then they had sex. She told me Carly then left the hotel and went to find Maddie's crush. It was a guy she had been in love with for a while. Carrie had sex with him that night, dumped off Maddie, and began dating this guy. Maddie's words were, "She's not at all who she presents herself to be." And she wasn't. Carly wore the happiest and brightest of clothing. On the outside looking in, she appeared like the most loving person ever, and she knew how to make you feel so special, like you were the only one who mattered. But there was a real evil inside of Carly, something terrifyingly wrong, something extremely dark and deranged that you could only see once you got close enough to her before she hurt you. I've never seen Carly since, and I really hope I never have to again. So to the girl who pulled me in and made me believe we were the best of friends, let's not meet.